I'm Julien Paré-Sorel, creator of Adventurosaur, Cory's Legacy, and you're listening to the True North Country Comic Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Julien Paré-Sorel about his new graphic novel, Adventurosaur Volume 2, Cory's Legacy, from Adventure Press. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. And if you want to help the site and the podcast, please consider supporting the effort by chipping in at ko-fi.com/True North Country Comics. Your patronage is greatly appreciated. Julien Paré-Sorel is a comic book author, illustrator, and VR artist based in Montreal, Quebec. Julien has always told stories through his drawings, especially featuring characters from fantasy and sci-fi universes. After his bachelor's degree in comic book arts at UQO, he was published in various collectives and illustrated novels. He's won several prizes in the last few years, including the BD Causa for Best French Comic Book for Youth in Canada, also the Dragon Prize at the Joe Shuster Awards for his graphic novel Adventurosaur Volume 1, Rex's Awakening. Julien is currently working in his Montreal studio with his faithful assistant, Abu, the dog monkey. Julien's latest graphic novel continues the Adventurosaur story entitled Cory's Legacy. Adventurosaur Volume 2, Cory's Legacy is described as a fantasy comic book series filled with twists and turns. Now trained in combat, Rex is ready to continue his quest and set out in search of his origins. Luckily for him, his faithful friends Patchy and Gogo are supporting him on this journey of 1,000 dangers. But the trio is forced to accept the company of Cory, a formidable ninjaptor with a mysterious past. They have to put their differences aside if they want to survive the terrible threats that await them. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Julien Paré-Sorel about his new graphic novel, Adventurosaur Volume 2, Cory's Legacy, from Adventure Press. So, Julien Paré-Sorel, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
It's my pleasure, John. Thank you for having me.
I know you're a busy fellow. I appreciate your time chatting with me. Before we get started with the questions, I want to know, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
I don't read much these days because I'm preparing a move. I'm moving with my family, but I'm always reading about paleontology, the newest discovery in dinosaur realm, because I'm the co-host of a podcast, the Sorrow podcast. It's called C'est quoi le raptor? So what's the raptor? It's a pun in French. So I'm reading a lot about this. And recently, just to name one, I've read a comic book which has been published by Pow Press in Quebec. It's a comic from one of my close friends, Boom, so Samantha Leriche-Gianet, Boom, who made the webcomic Boomery. And recently she created La Méduse. So the Méduse, I'm not sure about the English title. It's just a little pearl. It's a really well done comic, really touching, beautiful. I recommend to everyone. And the book has already won numerous prizes. And I think it will continue, and I hope so for her.
Yes, so, absolutely. Much success to her. That's a great book for sure. And I've chatted with her in the past, and I'm sure she'll have great luck in the future for sure. Now, we spoke not too long ago about your book, Adventurosaur, Rex's Awakening, and it was well received. But now we're talking about your latest book, Adventurosaur, Cory's Legacy. Now, I'm wondering, how would you describe that book to someone? Can you tell me a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. Adventurosaur is a fantasy adventure comic series. It's a tale for all ages. In general, it follows the quest of Rex, who is a young blue dinosaur looking for his origin. So in other words, he's looking for his lost mother that he never met. And in the first one, the story begins. It's the beginning of the quest. He goes on with his friends, Gogo and Patchy, longtime friends. And at the end of the book, they are kind of attacked by a mysterious and legendary clan, the Ninjaptor clan, which are, in fact, Velociraptor ninjas. And we're not sure if they're allies or enemy. But in the second book, the second chapter of the story, we meet them, we know more about them, we learn about their temple, their culture, and we meet this new character, Cory, that will become a very important character, as important as Rex, in fact. they kind of became a duo. She is a very complex character. She has lost her parents at a young age. She has been adopted by the Ninjaptor clan. And Sira, the chief, the matriarch of the clan, has really take good care of her, and she has learned her the way of the Ninjaptor and trained her to become a fearless warrior. But there's a dark side to this because she don't work well with others, and she wants to avenge her parent. Cory wants to leave the clan, but she doesn't really have out of the clan experience in the real world. Her mother made a deal with her. She offered her that she can leave the next morning, but in one condition. She has to follow Rex and his friend and help him on his quest, because deep down she knows that it's a good thing for her, and that she will learn to work with others, and that maybe with chance she will realize that she needs others to grow. So I don't want to spoil anything, but it won't be easy.
Yeah. I mean, the preview copy that I received really underlines the title of the series, Adventure. Like everywhere you look, every page is like it's like adventures leaping out at you. So it's very good for sure. Now we spoke about this previously when we talked about your first book, but why dinosaurs? What is it about dinosaurs that interests you and fascinates kids?
It's a good question. So it's a long love story between me and those prehistoric animals. As a kid, I was just like reading, as of right now, everything that I could find about them, and all the movies and the encyclopedia, and it's just you really a source of fascination, and it's a passion, and these are real animals that were living in our world, and at another age. So it's just mind-blowing for me, and I don't know why kids love them so much, just because the real question is why adults stop caring, or but I think for young children, maybe it's the fact that they can learn about a past ecosystem, maybe trying to figure out how they were living together. It's good for the memories. It's cool to imagine in your head another world with other creature, and how they communicate and how they interact with each other. So I think there's a lot of benefit for young children to be interested in this passion.
I recently spoke with a graphic novel creator, and she was talking about the hurdles she faced when translating her bande dessinée French language book into English. Now, because your Adventurosaur series is produced in both languages, I wanted to ask you if translation is ever an issue for you.
It's not an issue. It's a really good challenge, and it's a really interesting process to me. So I'm working with the two translators, the Adventure Press, my publisher, and it's just I really have fun with this process, because I read the first translated version. I offer my questions, my commentary. I offer my ideas about a specific word, or how I would write some sentence. It's really good for me, because I have to really understand what I want to tell and what I want to evoke for the story and for the emotions of the characters. Really at another level, because when you translate, you really have to understand the intention, the artistic and the narrative intention. It just offered me the occasion to precise and think about what my character really feel and what they really want to tell. No, it's a lot of fun, and I love doing participating in the translation process.
Great. We talked about your creative process last time, but I want to ask you, has any of your process changed over the course of creating your books?
Not that much. I'm still doing traditional and digital works. The storyboard, the pencil, and the inking is all still traditional with the brush. I have a new little brush for maybe smaller details or characters that are smaller in the background. I got some new tools. All the color is digital. The thing that has changed since the first volume is that the series got me quite busy, and life happens also. So I got an assistant for the color. So I work with a colleague and friends for the flats. So I offer a color palette, really precise, so that the person don't have to do a choice for the colors. If I'm really rushed in the times because I want the book to be produced more rapidly, I will maybe ask the shadows. So I do some technical orientation. I draw the light source and everything so that everything is really clear and easy for the colorist assistant.
Well, it really looks good. It really shows well, that's for
Thanks
sure.
a lot.
In our previous talk as well, you talked about how the Land Before Time movies was one of the inspirations for your books. So it got me thinking, have you ever thought about making your books into an animated series?
It would be a dream come true for sure. There's some discussion with a studio, an animated studio here in Quebec. But you know how it is. The animated scene and the television and movie scene is another model. It's another story. So those kind of projects took more time to develop. It takes a more, budget also. There's a lot of financement to get from Art Council and other things like that. I think I want to finish the main story in the comic book, the original story, before going in for another medium. But I'm really open to see where this collaboration could get me, and also would be the form that it would take. Would it be like a 7-minute episode or a short movie or a long movie? I don't know yet, but time will tell. I'm really excited about this possibility, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does sound exciting. You were recently at Angoulême Festival, and wondering, for those not familiar, how would you explain that festival, what it's all about, and maybe what was your impression at the event?
Le Festival de Bande Dessinée d'Angoulême is the biggest comic festival in the world. So it's kind of like the Cannes Festival of the comic book medium. It takes place in Angoulême in France. It's in January. So I was there for the first time last January. It was dream come true because I wanted to go to that festival for a long time. It was the perfect timing because Julie Doucet, who won the grand prize the year before, was the president of that edition. It was the 50th anniversary edition also. And there was a big delegation of comic book artists from Quebec and Canada. So it was really an honor to be part of it. I didn't have the chance to go in Europe to meet the readers and defend my series since the launch of the series, because my series is distributed in France, Belgium, and Switzerland since the beginning. It was the first time that I could meet the readers and talk about my series and present it. And, I had a blast. At the end of the weekend, my series was sold out. The reception was really good. There was a lot of family that already read all the books. On top of that, I had even a young reader that came disguised as the main character. So he was in cosplay of Rex. So I had a cosplayer in Angoulême. It was just amazing. I'm really lucky to have been there and be able to meet those persons.
That's very exciting. That's very rewarding when you get that sort of response. That's tremendous. Yeah. So that was promoting your book. Then you're promoting your book now too. You must be appearing and doing lots of events to promote the current edition.
Yeah. So the fifth one, La Vision de Patchy, Patchy's Vision, has came out this summer. So I've been doing a lot of comic festival and book fair, Salons du Livre in Quebec. The reception is really good. The last one, the readers of the series have been waiting a little more than the others to get it. And right now I'm working on the next one, and it will be I think the most dark of all of them.
Oh my! This book, Cory's Legacy, ends on a cliffhanger. So for readers, I mean, I hope that there's a follow up to it.
Yeah. Well,
what can you say?
It exists in French. The third one, Adventurosaur, is l'Oracle de Triasio. So Triasio Oracle, I guess, answers a lot of questions about the end of the second one. The only thing I can say is I hope that Canadian readers will get their hand on the first one and the second one, hopefully by the end of the year, because if my publishers see that people enjoy it and buy it at a local bookstore or anything, they will be more motivated to translate the third one. So I really hope that this thing turn good for the series.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that. That's a good series to continue for sure. Now, this question comes way out of left field, and I know everyone and his brother has been talking about artificial intelligence, but I wanted to get your take on it. Do you think that AI is helpful or harmful to comic book creation?
Well, it's a good question in the sense that it's quite nuanced. So I think it can be a tool for technical things, for technical thing you don't really think about it. You just have to do it. But when it comes to creative process, to drawing, the human expression, specifically when it's not ethic, when they don't respect the copyrights, I'm against it. I'm not cool with it. In fact, I'm kind of implicated in a committee for Illustration Québec, so illustration in Quebec. We are looking for a way to help creators and educate the public, but also publisher that thinks it's okay to use it. I kind of see it as if we talk about like Midjourney and those kind of application. Since day one, I saw it as a kind of a replacement technology for artists. It's a really complex topic, but we have to be careful, I think. Also, as a species, I think we have to make choice. Do we want to consume like art made by humans, or just like industrial content made by machines? I know the answer personally, but I think we have to collectively think about this.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the same type of conversation that's been happening in Hollywood with the strikes going on, and I know that they've reached a conclusion, but I still think there's more discussion. So I'm sure this will not go away and will not be resolved easily, but I'm glad that you're thinking about it and you have some action items going on. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I respect a lot of events take position. For example, the Festival de Bande Dessinée de Montréal, the MCAF has been publicly announcing that they won't include art made by AI in their festival because they just want to encourage human artists. And there's also the issue that, artists need to have income for a living. So if if the machine takes our job, we're gonna buy our food or pay for our rent. It will become a survival, challenge. So it's quite disturbing. It's a dystopic in a way.
Yes. Here's my last question to you, and hopefully more positive one. On your website, it says you're a big fan of the kaiju movie. So I wanted to ask you, are you excited to watch the upcoming Monarch Legacy of Monsters series on Apple TV+?
Yes, of course. Also the new Godzilla movie from Japan. Yeah, and I don't want to spoil too much, but since I'm a big kaiju culture fan, at the end of the last Adventurosaur book, some characters, older characters that have lived in the Great Kingdom of Mizoing for a long time, and I've seen and a lot of things, talks about the return of Titans. So that's where in part the story is evolving right now.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, and I really hope that the English readers will someday be able to read and see that.
Sounds good. Well, Julien, those are lots of questions. You got lots of activity going on. Wondering where you recommend people go to find you online and through social media, find out about your current and your future projects.
Yes, it's really simple. I have artist pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's my full name, Julien Paré-Sorel. Also, there's a page dedicated to the Adventurosaur series. It's in French. It's Adventurosaur on Facebook. Please go there. Don't hesitate to look in the picture album. There's a lot of material. Also on my website, julienparesorel.com. There's a lot of content. And well, I say content, but I mean art, There's a lot of things that you can read. And there's also all the trailers in YouTube for the Adventurosaur series. So enjoy and have fun looking for this.
Thanks to Julien for the chat. You can discover more about Julien online at julienparesorel.com and on Instagram at Julien Paré-Sorel. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And reminder to check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to the video channel at True North Country Comics Videos and hit the notification button. You can follow along at True North Country Comics on most social media sites. Remember to send any and all feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. If you want to help the site and the podcast, please consider supporting the effort by chipping in at ko-fi.com/DueNorthCountryComics. Your patronage is greatly appreciated. Thanks for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2023.